The Australian Open 2024 tennis tournament is only a couple of weeks away, and obviously everyone is going to ask by now who's going to win it. Is it going to be Djokovic? He's already won 10 in his illustrious career, so it would be quite a staggering surprise if anybody's going to take the title away from him. He's still very ambitious and very, very determined to defend his titles this year, even though he's obviously advancing in age, and therefore every major pundit is predicting an eventual slowdown. Whether it's going to come in 2024 remains to be seen. But obviously, he is going to have contenders for the title. And the question is, who can beat him? Obviously, the usual suspects, the current upcoming stars, Carlitos, Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, who was one of the few who actually beat him in the hard courts at the tail end of last year. I believe he went on a winning run between August to October. He went unbeaten for like 2 months, and only Sinner beat him last year towards the end at the Turin ATP finals and in the finals of the Davis Cup. But other than that, on hard courts, he was absolutely dominant. And this is, let's not forget, a hard court event. So if he carries on the momentum from the tail end of this year into next year, 2024, then obviously there's a great chance that he can win for the 11th time in his career, which is he already holds the record for the most Australian Open victories, and he's already the most successful Grand Slam player in the history of the tennis. He's won 24 so far, I believe. So he's already the all-time most successful player in that respect. So for him, it's just a question of how many more and how long can he continue to perform at this high level, given the stage of his career, where he's very, very advanced in age and obviously experience. But I'm sure there's going to be someone who will eventually be able to beat him on a more regular basis. I mean, Alcaraz, yes, last year succeeded at beating him in Wimbledon, and that was a Grand Slam. That's the only Grand Slam played on grass, and his grass is considered to be the fastest surface in the whole of tennis. And then he lost against Djokovic at Roland Garros, although he lost in a controversial way because he allegedly had cramps. So he pretty much, in the last two sets, he was not really competent. He was more just trying to stay in the game rather than winning the game. So that was a very of an unfortunate match for Alcaraz. But then on hard courts, he couldn't hurt Djokovic. So maybe the only one that can really beat him in Australia is Yannick Sinner, because he was successful against him in the hard courts, both in Turin, the ATP finals, winning a match, and obviously in the Davis Cup finals, he won his single match against Djokovic. But ultimately, Djokovic did win the final against Sinner at the ATP Masters, beat him at Wimbledon in the Grand Slam in London. So in really big wins, he tends to still beat the youngest players, which is an extraordinary achievement, because young players in tennis, supposed to be hungrier, more determined, more energetic, or obviously their body moves better because they've had less injuries, and all the advantages are towards the younger players typically. So the fact that he's still able to not only compete at a high level but beat these younger player after all the success that he's had, and at such an advanced age as well, it's a very, very special achievement. And I'm sure that the youngsters have got a point to prove this year, because obviously, last year he won 3 of the 4 Grand Slams, and Grand Slams are considered to be the premier event in tennis because they're the hardest to win, because they're the only tournaments that are played to the best of 3 rather than 2 in a men's game. So there's going to be something for the youngsters to prove that not only we can compete with this guy, we can at last him once and for all, And I think this is the year. I mean, this is the year for Alcaraz and Sinner to really prove themselves, because last year they had success against him in certain games, and this year I think they want to go a step further and not only win against him, but actually win one of the major Grand Slams with him being part of the tournament rather than him being absent. I mean, when Carlos Alcaraz won the US Open in 2022, Djokovic was absent, and obviously in Wimbledon, he did beat him in a final, so he proved himself against him, which is always a positive. It's going to give him more confidence when they go into a head-to-head in a major tournament. But for me, the winner of this Grand Slam is going to be Yannick Sinner. I really think he's going to prove himself. There's going to be a lot of Italians in Australia that are going to back him, and I think those two end of year victories against Djokovic in the Davis Cup, more so than the ATP finals, is going to give him a real big confidence boost. And I think he's going to carry it in 2024. And providing obviously that he doesn't get any injuries during the warm ups tournament coming up at the beginning of January, then I'm sure he's got a great chance to go far in Australia. Like I said, dethrone Djokovic. Anyway, I hope you have a successful year end and a bright new year coming ahead for everyone concerned and every tennis fan. I'm sure tennis will have a bright year ahead, regardless who is going to be the dominant player. For me, the dominant player next year is probably going to be Alcaraz, but it won't be as dominant as Djokovic's 2023. We will probably win a couple of Grand Slams, probably Roland Garros, and maybe Wimbledon again, but who knows? Let's see. Take care. Bye bye.